Stop.
Welcome to the corner, beautiful people. Big Drip signing in. Welcome to the live edition of Quick Dip, brought to you by the Pop Culture Corner. To my right, Get Jacked 1401. Below me, the legendary, my tax savvy, my best friend, the light drizzle. People, holler at them for me.
How we doing, everybody?
Mm.
I got choked up a little bit. I just want to say, just a real quick, I want to say thank you to everyone who participated and came through last month. It meant a lot. It meant a lot to us. But now we're back to normal. So back to the way it used to be.
Yeah, it's funny. Some people who have gotten into the DCEU Snyder stuff, like we found that interesting. Like these were not necessarily hardcore fans, but they found the topic interesting, and I was like, "Yeah, we'll be back, or we'll do some Snyder stuff eventually."
Absolutely.
And so, for those of you watching who are like, "Oh, they're not talking about Snyder anymore," it'll probably come up again. We'll probably definitely do a lot of coverage once the show airs. So
yeah, absolutely. It's the same as always. As details come in, we drop them. Like Jack said, when it comes out, of course, absolutely, we're gonna be all over it. We'll interview it. Me and Drizzle had this conversation already. The three of us are gonna watch it. The second we're done watching it, bam, we're gonna interview it. So it's still, review it, so it's still fresh in the mind. We don't want any oopsie daisies, no slip ups. Exactly,
and it'll be pretty cool. I think between the three of us, we have a lot of good insight because we have different perspectives on the topic.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Talk about some of the criticisms and everything. I think it'll be great. Whenever that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I can't wait. I need them to hurry up with that release date already, so I know exactly when.
Yeah,
seriously. My God.
Seriously.
Just for because I'm selfish, I guess. But
yeah,
I would like to know. So, it is what it is. I will get it soon, hopefully. We're a couple days away from some Suicide Squad content. I just want to throw that out there.
Finally. Finally. So, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm so genuinely excited for this. I can't even describe.
And then so check this out. I got a notification today that Wonder Woman tickets are on sale now.
Already? Really? Nice. Oh, nice.
Already. They should have been on sale last month if it was regular.
Right after I said it, I realized where we are. I forgot. It's already December. I forgot.
Yeah. But I think just seeing tickets on sale now was like, yep, it's actually coming.
Yeah, I know it. And in a world where we're still questioning whether or not these movies are getting a theatrical release, it is like a big feeling to actually see the tickets on sale, and you're like, yes, this really is happening. Especially with Wonder Woman, that's gotten pushed back 3 times now on us.
Three times, yeah.
Imagine that.
That's crazy. So
it really is.
I do.
And it's going to be in 4K. They said if you watch it on HBO, it'll be their first 4K release on HBO, which I'm glad.
Well,
which is crazy. Well,
okay, so I think that is a little bit miscued in the sense of it's not going to be their first. So it's going to be their first true UHD 4K release coupled with Dolby Atmos. It'll be the highest quality film that they've ever released. so if you watch it at home on your surround sound home theater, it'll sound, beautiful, because HBO's always had the issue where, I mean, you'll go from watching a film on Netflix and you'll get all the details, sounds and explosions, and then you'll go watch something on HBO and it kind of flatlines.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah.
What they've fixed that issue now. So it's you're right. I guess it's really exciting.
Drizzle, I have a quick question for you. Is Wonder Woman the first movie HBO Max has had that is strictly, well, not strictly because they're also releasing it in theaters, but is this the first movie to be released directly to HBO Max?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's a big move for them. That's a big move for them.
Because Netflix, for instance, Netflix has had movies that, there was a couple films that went to theaters as well. I can't remember what they were, but then they were, Netflix bought them like right before production started. So, they went to theaters for like a week or two, but then they went right to Netflix. So this is HBO's really their first dabble in a big blockbuster film coming right to them. So it should be really interesting to see what their numbers look like.
And it's not the same as Netflix excuse me, Jack. It's not the same as Netflix or Hulu. Like Netflix, it specifically says this is a Netflix original. That's not the case with HBO Max. HBO Max just happens to be under the same umbrella as DC. So it's very unique and it's all right because, like you said, it's a blockbuster. Like Netflix originals tend to be, big budget, but they're not blockbusters. Not the way Wonder Woman is, So this is truly a special occasion.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, a lot of Netflix originals aren't necessarily Netflix originals. They're made by a studio and then they're sold to Netflix.
Yes.
And HBO is known for one thing. If it's an original product, especially if it's a show, the quality is going to be good. Whether it's Game of Thrones or Carnival or Deadwood, like they can now say, hey, we make big budget movies. But connected to that, I hear Godzilla versus King Kong, whatever that is, might also be coming straight to HBO Max. I think it's not confirmed yet, but that would be kind of cool. Right now, HBO is doing everything right because there's been a little bit of backlash with Disney Plus. Like I have Disney Plus, I love it. I love watching all the old Disney movies.
I do too.
Like The Mandalorian right now, in terms of really new content, all their Marvel stuff has been delayed. Yeah. So right now HBO is like, hey, we have a major DCU movie coming out. We also might have Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah.
And hey, remember Netflix used to have Friends? We have Friends.
Yeah. That's very true. Very true.
I know a lot of people just for Friends got HBO Max. They love watching it.
Yeah.
So guys, some not so cool things happened in the past week or so.
Whatever anyone said about me, they're lying.
Not what I heard, Jack.
Yes. So Madmax actor Hugh Keays-Byrne passed away at the age of 73 due to so I didn't really get if it was due to just old age or whether it was COVID related or not. I didn't go looking exactly for that kind of stuff, but so he plays the villain, the guy he played in the original Mad Maxes as Toe Cutter, I believe it was.
Yeah, he was in the very first one. Yeah.
Yep. So he was a gangster, like a motorcycle gangster in, Wasteland, Australia, and then gets pushed in front of a semi truck, and dies. But then he came back in the newest installment with Tom Hardy, and so he's rather large in the Mad Max life. So I figured, we could pay homage to him. He did good. I don't think I'll ever think of Mad Max without thinking of him.
Yeah. That was him in the new one. A lot of people didn't realize that he was the same guy in the very first one, because when people think of the old Mad Max films, they usually think of the second and third one. which is where like we think of Mad Max, you know, the wasteland. The first one is kind of different, you know, it's kind of a wasteland, but like people are still living their lives. Max has a wife and kids and all this stuff. But you know, that second one, Road Warrior, is when people think, okay, that's where Mad Max really started, in a weird sense, because that's sort of that set the standard for what a Mad Max movie is. And for him to come back after all these decades in Fury Road, I thought was cool because I did not know that when I had seen it. And when I looked it up, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the same guy. And a lot of times actors will say they hate that they're only remembered for one role. There have been so many great actors that aren't remembered for any roles, but for him to be attached to this role or these two roles that he did, it's a testament. And I give credit to the original films, and I give credit to the new one, Fury Road, which was it George Miller who did the new one? You know, it's something that, you know, reignited the love of Mad Max, because it's a very interesting storytelling. It's just one big chase scene, especially in the second one and the new one, but it's storytelling in a very unique way that we're not used to, and he was a huge part of that.
Right. So I just wanted to, you know, briefly touch on it and you know, just bring it up and at least pay our respects to the actor, you know, because that's what we love around here. We love actors and all sorts of projects, not just superheroes.
We spend a lot of time talking about superheroes.
And so this is you know, this is about a week or so old as well. But the guy so everyone thinks when they think of Darth Vader, they think of James Earl Jones because the iconic voice and just the pure terror that people get when they think of him. However, people forget that that's not James Earl Jones in the costume.
James isn't that big. He not even close. Not even close.
So, David Prowse passed away at 85, and this was due to COVID. So rest in peace.
Wow.
Yeah.
Coronavirus killed Darth Vader. Wow.
Yep.
Imagine that. If it couldn't get any worse. If it honestly couldn't get any worse. Jesus.
Yes.
What's crazy about him, a lot of people don't realize, you kind of see it in the movies, but he was like 6'7", 6'8". He was a huge guy.
Ginormous.
Especially like in Return of the Jedi when Darth Vader arrests Luke Skywalker, you just see how short Luke is. You're like, like, either Luke is really short or he's really tall. I actually got to meet him. He used to do a lot of comic book conventions. And here's interesting trivia. When he did the first Star Wars, they were going to use his voice. He said all the lines in costume. He just assumed George Lucas had filmed it, assuming that we're just going to use his voice. But when they went into the editing room, it sounded like a guy behind a mask. You can't hear it.
Yeah. It was very muffled.
Jones. And like, listen, we need someone with a cool voice. He didn't have a bad voice. He just sounded like a British guy. And we need someone with like a unique voice. And that, of course, made a legend out of James Earl Jones.
Imagine Darth Vader being like a British Bond villain kind of voice instead of James Earl Jones. Because
if they had done that, then in the prequels they would have to make Anakin British. If you think about it,
exactly.
Yeah, that would have been different, huh? I don't know if I could take him seriously at that point.
It gets in all the wrong places.
So, us here at the Pop Culture Corner, we want to say, our thoughts are with the families of these two legends. However, they did live long and long and good lives. It sucks when anyone passes away, especially someone that we look up to in film or television. But with everything that's happening this year, it's honestly, you take them as they come at this point. It's all rolling in at once, and there's so many people that are losing their lives, and no one is bigger than the other. It's terrible. So can you guys hear that?
Did we lose Drip?
Could you hear that noise?
No, I didn't hear anything.
But yeah, so like I was saying, no one life is worth more than any. So, losing anybody is tough. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, so some cool set photos came out of geez, I didn't think we were ever gonna get this movie, by the way. The Avatar 2, the sequel to Avatar.
Yeah.
I swear, it was just never gonna happen, and it was just always gonna be talked about. But a cool set photo came out. And previously had been confirmed that Avatar 2 is going to have a very aquatic theme. Not, the whole movie won't be underwater or anything like that, but it is going to be a lot more aquatic, like I said. So a set photo came out, and I'll show it here just so everyone can see it before we talk about it.
Well, there's Jim.
So if you can see right in the background, if you can see it in the background there's a lot of aquatic-based scenery. And that's going to take a huge turn from what we're used to with Pandora. And there's going to be a lot more water, and we'll get some new species. And I think they're really going to develop and expand Pandora, which is going to be great. He's filming 2 sequels to this. So I don't remember how many total there will be, but he's filming simultaneous movies at once, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of nuts. And I am kind of curious because, like, I like Jim Cameron. Every one of his movies are amazing. I kind of miss the old Jim Cameron, kind of pre-Titanic. Like, I love movies like True Lies, The Abyss, Aliens. I'm kind of curious how Avatar, there's no doubt Avatar 2 will be a huge movie, but I guess it's been almost 11 years since the first one came out. How do you guys feel? I don't feel like people talk about Avatar the way they talked about, let's say, The Dark Knight, which came out the year earlier, which obviously didn't make as much money. But
Avatar changed the game as far as, and I think we've talked about this before. James Cameron, he is such a visionary director, and he sat on Avatar for years because the technology wasn't there. So kind of opposite of what George Lucas did, where he kind of went into it without the technology being capable of what he wanted. James Cameron sat on this, so he's no stranger to waiting and making sure the movie comes out the way he wants and the way he pictured. I think the hype for Avatar 2 definitely fell off after the 3rd, 4th, even 6th year.
Of course.
But once that first trailer drops, back at it. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking with your logic, right? I'm thinking for part 2, I think you're right. I think he wants to do a more in-depth look at Pandora and the way the world works and the wildlife, et cetera, and so forth. And I don't think back in, 2011, 2010, I don't think the technology was there at the time.
Yeah.
Whatever year it was.
I'm just kind of curious to see what the hype will be like, just because he did another sequel back in the day, and that was Terminator 2. And there was at the time, relatively speaking, it was 6 years, I think, or 7 years between Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. But the hype in those 7 years, the demand, we want another Terminator, was so high. People were begging, like, when is Terminator 2 coming out? And it wasn't until The Abyss where he had to develop some of the liquid metal tech. It's like, okay, now I can do this. Now I can make Terminator 2. I'm curious. Obviously, the first one made like 2.6 billion or something. If this movie makes, let's say, 1.5 billion, would that be considered a disappointment? Or do you think that, hey, if this comes out, it's going to have the impact the first one did? I don't know.
That's a really good question, honestly. Because I think if in terms of
like I am though excited because a lot of people said the first one was a little bit derivative, that it was a little too similar to other movies. But I thought it was. I mean, first of all, if you didn't see this in IMAX or in 3D, you missed out on something. It was truly, it was not a spectacle. It was like an event. everyone in the world went to go see this movie. And if you missed out on it, I feel bad for you, especially if you missed out on it in theaters. But is that Stephen Lang in that photo?
Yes.
Ah.
He's very thin.
Yeah.
He's very, very, very thin. But I think everything you said is kind of spot on. I think in terms of sequels, right?
Yeah.
If it makes less than the original, I think like automatically you'd think, okay, well, it's not as successful. However, the time difference between these two is going to play a factor.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. A whole new generation of people has been born since this movie has come out, and between this, when the second one comes out, there's a whole new gap of people that have no idea what maybe Avatar even is. And you're gonna have to market this second film perfectly.
Yeah. And I know James is, Cameron's putting his life into it because he's not, he's in his 60s right now. That's not really old anymore, but like he's doing what you said. I know he's doing 3 and 4 simultaneously. There might be a 5th one. We don't know, but these could be like his last act of a crazy film career. And he's going to want to do it right,
Yeah.
Right.
He's going to want to stick the landing and leave a legacy. Yeah. Starting with the first Terminator and ending with Avatar 5. Or 4, whatever the last one will be. I think he's aware of that, and he's not made a bad movie. There are some movies that I liked of his more than others, but he's never made a bad movie. And every one of his movies did something unique.
I was about to say it. He's never been one to disappoint. We're waiting a decade plus for this movie. I think it's fair to assume that it's going to come out well. It's going to be on point. I think Drizzle's right. I think a big part of it's going to be marketing because, again, like he said, it's been such a long time. There's a whole new generation already existing now. So I think you're right. I think marketing is going to be a big part. I think it's how you catch people's attention. You're going to have to come across this as if it's not a sequel, but a brand new movie happening. You don't market it the same way you would market a sequel. You got to market it as its own. Because it's been so long. I guarantee there's people that completely forgot about it, right? I guarantee it's been so long that people don't even remember. They forgot or they stopped caring straight up. Like I'll keep it real with you. I could care less. Honestly, the hype died for me a long time ago.
Yeah. Same with
when is this coming out? When's the expected release date? Is it 2022 or 2021?
2022.
Okay, so hopefully COVID will be over by then. Because could you imagine if like the movie theater gets like, remember we were talking about this last week, gets hit so badly that finally this movie's about to come out and
see it in
theaters.
Yeah, that'd be devastating. Like you said, I think the big part of it, I didn't get to see it in theaters. I was young when this movie came out, so I didn't care less about it, right? So I think a big part of it this time around, if I go see it, it's going to be, big, spectacular 3D, IMAX, the whole shebang, right? And so if COVID doesn't go away by that.
When Avatar came out, it was 2009 and early 2010. That had been James Cameron's first movie since 1997. He did Titanic, and then there was no movies for about 12 years, between 84 and like 97, he made like, 2 Terminators, The Abyss, True Lies, Alien, he made all these movies. Then he stopped and he waited for the technology to get there. And I think he started when he saw The Lord of the Rings, when he saw how Gollum was done. He's like, okay, now the technology exists to make what I want to make.
The motion capture.
Yeah. And by the way, Lord of the Rings just came out in 4K. This is quick dip.
Yes. This is quick.
Some news.
One last thing. So I agree with Raging Entertainment in saying when he said that James Cameron does know what he's doing, and he knows how to get people's attentions and love for cinema, and he's definitely right. I couldn't agree more, and I am excited. I'm excited to see. Because the new Disney World, whatever, or Disney ride or theme park thing that they did for Avatar and Pandora, that kind of buoyed a little bit more like hype for the film and the world that it's set in. So I think that coupled with, however they go about marketing the Avatar, Avatar verse, I think, people either, if they haven't watched the first one, they'll go back and watch it and kind of get excited. Because it's not like going back and watching Star Wars where you kind of have to like suffer through the first, whatever. It's
I'm
still
gonna school you boys about Star Wars, but keep going.
Yeah, it's still a visually stunning film, and
it is.
It
truly is a gorgeous film.
And you know what? I feel like there's kind of, at least for me, a thirst for some good sci-fi.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of sci-fi out there, but good, entertaining sci-fi. I think the last few Star Wars movies were not good. There's a lot of cheaply made sci-fi, but there hasn't been like a really good. And maybe someone there's going to remind me of one. Sure, we've had movies like The Martian and Ad Astra, which are more scientific in nature. I want some good science fiction. I want some space travel. I want a world that I've not seen before.
Right.
And I would love outside of Marvel and DC.
Yeah, and that's why I'm excited for this sequel. And I hope you're right in saying that they're going to spend a good chunk of this movie really exploring the planet and really getting a feel. Because, we spent the first movie with one tribe, right? But that we're talking about an entire planet here, right? That's like coming to Boston, Mass in one movie, staying there and assuming the whole planet is like that. You see what I'm saying? I don't want. I want to see the whole planet. I want to see what life is like with this sentient life, other places on the planet, what they're like, etc.
Yeah,
and Drip, that's a good point because you notice that, especially in sci-fi, they treat planets like cities. Like, you visit the planet and every place looks the same. Like Pandora probably looks different on the other side of the globe.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, what was I gonna say? I forgot it already. God, no, it's okay. Speaking of James Cameron. I was on set. I was on set of a Leonardo DiCaprio movie yesterday, and I got I was on the set with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, and that's what made me think of it. I don't know, James Cameron, Leonardo DiCaprio, Titanic. I got interviewed. I got interviewed by the news. We got a little bit of advertisement from Channel 5.
Little shout out. I saw it. I watched it. I watched the news clip. I saw it. We got shot out.
And
dude, look, you were dressed so sharp. I was like, dude, look how sharp you look.
Yeah, I wore a full suit to that.
You did.
I wore a 3-piece, not even a 2-piece, a 3-piece.
He had the vest the whole 9.
And I made friends with Mary. She's a field reporter. She was the one who did the report, like that whole thing. She was the lady at the end of it. I made friends with her. She let me go inside with her press badge.
That was cool. Wow. Yeah, shout out Mary.
I got her phone number. She followed our Twitter. So
nice. Shout out to you.
Yeah, Mary was one of the coolest people I've ever met, honestly. There was a little bit of trouble with the Leonardo DiCaprio photo, and I do want to address this now before we get into the Daredevil thing. So the picture I took of Leonardo DiCaprio had somebody's hand in it, like right where I needed it, right? So the girl standing next to me, I said, "Hey, could you send me your picture of Leonardo DiCaprio?" Same picture, just minus the hand. And she blew us up on Instagram and Twitter saying that not nice. Saying that I stole the photo from her. And I want to make it abundantly clear. How can I steal a picture from you unless I had your phone and sent it to myself? I have the text messages from her saying, I was like, do you want credit for the photo? No, I'm good. As soon as it started making the rounds and getting really popular, all of a sudden she wanted her credit.
Oh my goodness!
Look at us.
Oh,
We
I
have
was
our
just like,
first
listen,
controversy.
man.
We're turning into a major enterprise.
I'm just gonna.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I don't want your picture. I'm gonna take it down, and my Jennifer Lawrence ones can stay up. And then I ended up giving a tip to another girl at about where they're going to be filming next on Saturday, and Justice is going to head down there for us this time.
Yeah, man.
But she sent me
on the scene, baby.
yeah, she sent me her picture and said, "Go ahead,
tuxedo,
go ahead, use this."
I know. I know. Now I know. He's such a pain in my ass, Doug. Now I gotta step it up. Now I gotta break out the tuxedo. What's that flower thing that they wear at a prom? I'm talking about. I have to bring a crown, a cape.
I forgot what it's called. There's a word for it.
Yeah, you guys are you guys are really weird.
No, forget that. I'm wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. I'm not wearing a 3-piece suit to go to a movie.
But you know what? By wearing a suit,
it's cold outside.
You don't look like a crazy fan, like trying to get a picture.
That's true. Maybe I should wear a shirt with Leon Tano's face on it.
I looked like I was supposed to be there. And I was supposed to be there, so that's okay.
That's right. Do people wear suits on movie sets? Like, is the light guy wearing a 3-piece suit?
No. He's wearing
like an exequive,
Yeah, but all the producers and stuff were in like nice clothes, and I'll give you guys a little bit of, before we move on to our main subject of the day. I'll give you this: Jennifer Lawrence, she is tiny, and I am a small person. She's tiny, and very, very short, and she got extra skinny for this role. But she just looked like an emotional Bostonian. Like if you were in Downtown Crossing, you wouldn't even have known she was famous. She just looks like everybody else. I was super surprised.
I mean,
but Leo, he's a Sex Pistol.
Leo, though.
Mike,
Leo,
but Leo is a Sex Pistol, and I mean,
Leo, though. Mr. DiCaprio, though. Jack.
Yeah.
He is a handsome bastard. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Did I see full scruff on the second photo? Was I seeing correctly?
Yeah, lots of scruff.
What's this stuff? Is the Revenant 2 in Boston?
Revenant
2. But yeah, so the movie that it is called Don't Look Up. It's a Netflix original movie. And
really? Wow, they got Leo for a Netflix original. That's big. That's a big move.
As I said on the news, the cast runs deep. So you got Leo, you got Jonah Hill, you got Meryl Streep, you have Tyler Perry, Matthew Perry, Ariana Grande.
I think this might be because of the success they had with The Irishman. They paid a lot of money to like De Niro, Pacino, Joe Pesci, get all the big actors together, and it worked out. It paid off for them, and so I think, go ahead, spend the money. I'll watch it.
Well, they have the tendency to do that. I've noticed with their movies. And actually, the somebody pointed out a YouTube channel I watch. I honestly can't think of the name of the channel right off rip, but he had pointed out, made me think Netflix has this tendency to spend all of their budget on actors. So they'll put big names into it, but then you can see the rest of the movie is kind of lackluster. The CGI, the writing, etc. Yeah. You can kind of notice that because they put these big names, DiCaprio, De Niro, Pacino, etc. These big, huge names, Meryl Streep. That's gonna run you some serious money.
Yeah.
Do you guys?
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who Charlie Talbert is?
No,
I do not.
No. I mean, I know the name. So Charles McKellen Talbert, I believe. But we just got asked. He's an American actor. I've heard of him before, but I didn't know if you guys had known who he was. Someone asked us. So, Raging Entertainment, if you'd like to bring up why you brought him up, then we'll be happy to talk a little bit more. By the way, because I know that people are in and out. I would like everyone to comment and bring some stuff up. I think we always say that. Not just one person.
We want the most inclusion as possible. That's kind of,
yes.
I mean, we're live right now, so we definitely want you guys involved in this.
Yeah. So anyway, so the final topic that we have today is the biggest one. Hashtag save DareDevil has been gaining traction all across the internet. And
please, Disney, please.
What are you guys' thoughts?
I love Daredevil.
Okay, but why?
So I'm not very familiar with the show. I mean, if any reoccurring watchers, Drip doesn't really watch TV. I do anime and video games. That's really my go-to. Daredevil's a great character, though. I absolutely adore him. He's a huge part of Marvel as a whole. So that fact alone, he should be part of the MCU.
Well, here's the funny thing I always say about so if you read Marvel comics, you have your top tier characters. These are the best written, most read, and it's not any of the Avengers. It's not Cap. It's not Iron Man. It's not Thor. It's Spider-Man.
No.
It's Punisher, and it's Daredevil.
And
technically,
X-Men.
These shows are part of the MCU. The very first show is set in the aftermath of the first Avengers movie, where New York was decimated and everything. But the success of these shows, the hard R writing. I mean, you watch one scene with Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, it is better than anything in the MCU. And I love the MCU.
Oh my God!
I mean, they're taking it so seriously. There's no quips and jokes. It's showing New York at its ugliest. Daredevil is a boxer. He's a brawler. This show is on a tier of its own. I think it's one of the best shows ever, not just best comic book shows. To me, it's way better than like anything the CW has done, way better than the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was written with heart, with purpose. It was gritty. It was a hard R rating. And it took some of the best stuff that like Brian Michael Bendis did and Frank Miller did and made something great out of it. It is incredibly well cast. My only, but I was just about to say, everything great about that show was not really Disney. They gave the rights to Netflix, and Netflix made the show. Everyone's kind of hoping now that Disney has the rights back that we're going to get this show back. I want it back, but Disney has been very apprehensive about pushing R-rated content. This whole thing with Ryan Reynolds has been going on for years now about Deadpool 3, because they don't want to make an R-rated Deadpool movie. They want to make one that's going to be PG-13, family-friendly, so the kids can come. And I don't know if Disney will do justice to the show, because there's no chance they'll make a 2-hour movie that'll be as good as that TV show was, because it was absolutely stunning. Well written. It was filmed in Hell's Kitchen. They filmed it in Manhattan in that area. And the Punisher spinoff was almost as good. I've been campaigning for it. It's important to me because I think it was an important piece of television. But it is so radically different from it feels more, not to bring this up, more like something Zack Snyder would do in terms of intensity and grittiness and darkness. I don't know if Disney will allow that into the MCU. If they will, they might make a Daredevil movie that might be closer to Big Drip's favorite actor, Ben Affleck, the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie.
Yeah,
I think
lighthearted, quippy.
I don't think you give Disney enough credit. Disney is the biggest movie studio on the planet for a reason. They know what they're doing. They're not dumb. Deadpool is the highest rated R-rated movie ever. They're not going to ignore that. At the end of the day, they're a business, they're a company, they're about the dollars. So if that's how they make money off a Deadpool movie, that's what they're going to do. So we noticed when we went to see New Mutants, they didn't put they kept the 20th century logo, but they just took the Fox part out of it. So it says 20th century instead.
Yeah.
I think that's their go-to. And at no point in New Mutants do you see the Disney logo. You see 20th century. They're gonna do the same thing with anything with an R rating. They're not gonna put Disney Presents. They're gonna put 20th Century Presents.
Well,
but they own 20th Century.
Here's why I think my counter to that. Daredevil is like one of the highest grossing R-rated movies. It made like close to $800 million worldwide. But Disney and Marvel are in a situation where they can make any PG-13 property and they'll make $1 billion because it's PG-13. Not to pick on it, but Captain Marvel I thought was very substandard.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it was,
they still made 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. So they'll be like, hey, instead of making Deadpool, why don't we make Squirrel Girl or Miss Marvel or anything else that will definitely gross $1 billion? Because Deadpool $700 million is nothing to them. They can make 5 other properties.
Deadpool's already beloved by the fans. Deadpool's already guaranteed to bring money in. Nobody knows Squirrel Girl. They have to try their hardest to make Squirrel Girl happen. Deadpool's already happening. All you gotta do is make the movie. People are gonna show up.
But the issue I think the problem is kids. You know that if they bring Deadpool in the MCU, kids are like, "Mommy, let's go see Deadpool." You know, it's part of the Marvel universe. And like, if Deadpool shows up in a future team up movie, you're gonna have a situation where like, okay, here's an R-rated movie. How do we connect this to Avengers 5 without having to watch? You know what I mean? Like, it creates problems. And I feel like Disney is gonna be like, screw it, we'll just keep making other properties because Spider-Man 3 is gonna be huge. Doctor Strange 2 and Black Widow. They're like, I feel like they're in a situation where they might be like, we don't need to make Daredevil or Deadpool. And if we're going to do Daredevil, we're going to make it PG-13. We're going to make it family friendly. We're going to make a generic MCU build. I don't know. I'm scared.
I want to. Okay, guys. So
get me all worked up here.
You do know that Disney owns a stake in Hulu, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so any R rating content could potentially go over to Hulu instead of be on Disney Plus. So a Deadpool movie could still come into theaters. They could slap the Marvel tag on it, and then go put it over to Hulu. They could also just change the Defenderverse over from Netflix to Hulu and still be able to market it as their own. There are alleys and options to go that don't involve them losing their family-friendly vibe. So,
and FX, they own FX now because they bought Fox. I think a show like Daredevil or The Punisher
they got
would
FX
fit really well with like Sons of Anarchy and like some of the R-rated kind of stuff on FX. But I don't know if they want to do that in the MCU though, like the larger MCU, like bring that edginess to the films. But I would like to bring the show back. Hulu would be great. FX, I'll watch it weekly.
Yeah.
I love that they brought Daredevil back.
With Daredevil, that's it's a little more complicated. Me and Drizzle have this conversation a million times already. Deadpool, it's easy because he breaks the fourth wall. He can just kind of do whatever. Because of the fourth wall breaking, you don't really need to explain it. Daredevil, on the other hand, that's tricky because I think you have a fair point where they don't want to bring that dark edginess into the MCU, but at the same time, that kind of dark, edgy Daredevil will play really well off of a more lighthearted character, and you would see a really, if written correctly, a really cool chemistry and dynamic there, where it's kind of like a dark and gritty, but we put a lighthearted superhero into that kind of scenario and team him up with Daredevil. I think it would work perfect. Again, this is Disney we're talking about. Disney can handle. They can handle it.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just not sure they. So who was the original? Who was the last owner of CEO of? It was Will something Eisner. No, not Eisner. Whoever the last CEO of Disney was. I forgot what his name was, but he was saying, "Hey, we'll make an R-rated Deadpool."
Are you talking about Bob Iger?
No.
But he's gone now, so I don't know who the new person is. But I can imagine there's a hesitation about bringing Deadpool like into the larger MCU. Although I think that'd be a great idea. I know they want to do Blade and I don't want them to make that a PG-13 movie. So I'm using these two sort of characters talking about Daredevil. I would love if they wonderfully cast. I can't imagine other actors, doing justice.
Michael Eisner.
Michael Eisner was a couple ago, I thought.
Yeah, so it's Bob Iger. Bob Iger.
Yeah, like I said, Robert Iger was the one that said that. Bob Chapek is now the CEO of Disney.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yes, a lot of companies have kind of cleared out. Warner Brothers, I have never seen such a overhaul. I mean, they pretty much cleaned house, and I mean, there's a reason behind. Yeah, there's a reason behind it, but you don't need all these people anymore. You don't. In Warner Brothers' case, you don't need all these people now. They have there's AT&T, Time Warner, and then the HBO Max stuff, and there's too many cooks in the kitchen, if you will. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'll go, with the Save Daredevil thing. I think it's nice to see people getting behind something and unifying in one voice for a project that they love. Kind of like the Snyder Cut. It's nice to see people stepping in and saying that they'd like to see Charlie Cox come back in whatever form that may take. That's awesome. Clark Gregg, who plays Agent Coulson in the Avengers and in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., also got on board. A couple other actors definitely showed some support. I think that Daredevil, I don't know if you can bring back one and not all the rest. I don't know if they want to continue that whole Defenders storyline. I do think a good amount of money would have to be spent to bring everything back and kick it back into gear. I don't know if bringing one of them back, maybe Daredevil and his characters, and then the Punisher, I don't know if that works.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say. So, like, Mahershala Ali, who's going to be Blade in the MCU, was the villain in season 1 of Luke Cage, but the actor who played Luke Cage has already moved on. He's on a show called Evil for CBS. So I think he already and like I said, so the point I was making earlier, Daredevil and Punisher are top tier characters. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, while they are part of the Marvel universe, the comics, they're not necessarily like up there. They're not necessarily like, at some point the Punisher and Daredevil have been in the Avengers or have been involved with the Avengers or even the X-Men. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, they're
street. They're street level. They're defenders.
And they don't really have the type of writing that Daredevil has seen. They haven't had attracted the level of quality writing. That's not saying it's a bad comic book. Alias Investigations was a decent comic book, and Luke Cage is a decent comic book. But whereas with Daredevil, you have thousands of comics. With Punisher, you have thousands of comics of good villains, characters, where you can't really do that. So I wouldn't, to what you're saying, Ty, I could actually see a situation where they're like, hey, the Punisher was really popular. It was very popular with law enforcement and military veterans who liked the character. I think it did big numbers for Netflix. So why don't we just bring Daredevil back, see how that works, bring the Punisher back, and then we can, maybe feature Luke Cage. I think Iron Fist is done. I don't think anyone's even thinking about Iron Fist anymore.
I love Iron Fist.
I'm thinking about Iron Fist
a lot, but I think that would be a character that they could bring in. Let's say, what's the martial arts movie that they're doing? That Marvel's doing.
Shang-Chi.
I'm not familiar with that, but I feel like that's something they could do. But see, he was a weak actor. The actor just did not do a good job in that role. At least I thought. He was overshadowed by everyone else. But Daredevil and Punisher, very well cast. Both shows had fantastic showrunners who had a vision, kind of like Snyder, kind of like the Russo brothers. Like, we're gonna build this. We're gonna build these small stories and build these characters, and you can see the vision I don't necessarily see that with Luke Cage or Jessica Jones. If they do bring them back, I don't see them having their own shows.
Well,
but
you know, why isn't it like, why can't they just bring back the shows? Why not pick them up where they left off? Like Joseph said earlier, just kind of switch platforms because they have their share in Hulu. So you take it off Netflix and put it on Hulu, and you pick up where they left off. Bam.
I'm for that. And you know what would be a great way to explain the gap? Because it's going to be a couple of years if the shows even do come back. Let's say they announce, hey, we're going to bring DareDevil back. It'll probably be another year.
You do a time skip.
Use the snap from Thanos' snap. Use that like as a kind of a reboot.
Yeah.
All these characters like, hey, we're back in action because, okay, let's say Matt Murdock was gone for 5 years because of the snap.
Yep.
You could use the snap to kind of do a soft reboot to these shows and kind of restart, you know, like Wilson Fisk is kind of the main villain in Daredevil. Imagine a world where, let's say, the snap happened, Daredevil disappeared, and Wilson Fisk is now the kingpin of New York with no Daredevil. All of a sudden, he comes back from the snap, you know, like they did in Spider-Man Far From Home. Do the same thing with Jessica Jones. I think that'd be great. I think that'd be a great way to reboot the shows. Yeah,
absolutely. Why not?
Are you guys?
The show started off in the aftermath of the first Avengers movie, so that fits perfectly.
Yeah. Are you guys excited for a Mortal Kombat movie?
Yeah, I saw that from Raging Entertainment. I know nothing of it. I have no idea. I know nothing.
They got to bring that music back from the 90s. Remember that music?
Yeah, that was a hell of a soundtrack.
As you guys know, I don't play video games, but I don't play enough of them, I should say. But I will always remember. So Snake Eyes, right, is the character in that?
No,
I think so. I haven't played. I have 10 and 11, but I haven't played them yet.
No,
I thought he was a character.
Snake Eyes? No, Snake. Yeah. No, Snake Eyes isn't Snake Eyes from like G.I. Joe or something. He's definitely not from Mortal Kombat.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is G.I. Joe with the Scorpion. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Scorpion.
Yeah, G.I. Joe.
The guy with the guy, I know in the game, right? You can like change his color and stuff.
You change everybody's color, but you might be thinking of Reptile. Reptile does that. Reptile's the one who he has the green ninja suit. In the later games, they like made him look like an actual lizard.
I always liked the like the Mortal Kombat versus DC, like when they did those style.
Yeah, those were pretty cool. So Jizzle, you'd like this in Injustice 2, right? They threw a whole bunch of DLC characters towards the end of the game, which included Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat, the Ninja Turtles, Hellboy. Yeah, dude, all kinds of shit. It was crazy. Spawn, all kinds of, it was crazy. It was awesome.
Those Ninja Turtles games are phenomenal.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
And the stories were really good.
Gorgeous, just absolutely beautiful. Just it was an amazing experience. It really was.
and Ty, even if you've never played the Injustice games, watch the movies on YouTube. They're worth watching. The stories are really good.
I actually did. Injustice is the only game I've ever played and beat.
Oh, nice, good. That's a good choice. That's a great choice.
Injustice 2 is really good too.
Yeah.
So hey guys, real quick. So Chameleon, thank you, Raging. Thank you. That's who I was thinking. Thank you. Chameleon, yes. So beforehand, I was doing just a quick like refresher on Daredevil stories and whatnot. So this is big fan theory that thinks the same chemicals that got into Daredevil's eyes are the chemicals that turn the Ninja Turtles into the Ninja Turtles. So in Daredevil, you know, he's a little boy and he pushes a blind man out of the way of getting hit with the truck, right? The truck has chemicals in it.
Stick, right?
And what?
Never mind. Keep.
Stick
it wasn't Stick. No, it wasn't Stick. I was thinking of. You kind of broke up, and I heard blind guy, so I said Stick.
No, so in Daredevil's origin, he's a little boy, pushes a blind man out the way, right? And the Ninja Turtles comic book they released during the Ninja Turtles origin, it's the same exact thing. They show a little boy pushing a blind man out of the way of a truck the whole night. It shows the chemicals spraying into the little boy's eyes and then proceeding to fall on the Ninja Turtles, where they fall into the sewer and are raised by Master Splinter.
No way.
That absolutely blew my mind. Like it's crazy. I swear to God, they showed that. I watched it on YouTube. He showed me the comic panels, the whole nine. True story.
Can
you
you find
who makes TMNT right now? Is Marvel own them at all, or is that I think
DC? DC owns them. Well, like DC owns the company that makes them. DC owns a lot.
Can you send me the video or send me the?
Yeah. I'll send it to you right now.
All right, cool.
It's remember that dude. I would love it. It's Variant Comics. You people check out their YouTube channel. I absolutely adore these people. I have zero issue shouting them out on our show. I absolutely love these people.
That is kind of cool. I like that.
Excellent content. Excellent.
I know there was kind of a crazy theory regarding tying the Punisher to Doctor Strange, because when they did the Punisher arc in DareDevil season 2, they said the bullet had gone into his head, and it was a gunshot wound, and he was dying, and he was resuscitated. And then the opening of Doctor Strange is called in an emergency. There's a gunshot wound, victim to the head, and they're taking the bullet out. And I was like, oh, they came out at the same time. It's got to be connected. And it wasn't, but it was like, oh, man, that'd be so cool if Doctor Strange saved the Punisher's life. That'd be so awesome. That would be cool. To the head, I'm like, oh, that would be so cool.
That would be cool. I would love that. Dude, I love getting into like little theories and little like connected dots kind of things. I absolutely enjoy doing stuff like that. It's so cool.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe this Sunday, we could explore more of that. So the Batman psyche.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So guys, those who don't know, me and Drizzle Jack, you probably don't even know. Way back in the beginning, me and Drizzle had a conversation about just trying to be a little bit different in the topics that we discussed. And one of the big ones was talking about Batman's psyche, right? Because he's clearly not a stable man, right? Batman is he's 100% human, right? There's no superpowers, there's no nothing. He's just a guy with some severe mental issues. Like, you really, really take a second to think about it. If you knew a guy who dressed up as a bat every night and went out and fought giant crocodiles and killer clowns, he's clearly not the most stable of men. So we wanted to sit down and take the time and really, like, do an in-depth look and, kind of talk about what we might think he has wrong with them, how severe it might be, etc., so forth. Like, what would cause a man to act like that? Because trauma is not enough. It really isn't.
Yeah. And I think it'll be fun to kind of get in the mind of Batman.
Yeah.
And kind of explore, some of the decisions he's made over the years, his trauma from a young age and what that can do to someone.
Yes.
So, because normally every week we have what we call like our spotlight, and that's kind of what we finish the show with. So I was thinking that this Sunday we could finish and spotlight Batman psyche and kind of dive into what, like you said, the mind of the bat.
Wonderful.
I got to warn you, Professor Xavier once tried to read Batman's mind, and now he's in a wheelchair.
So did someone give you an alley-oop there, or?
What's interesting about like a topic like that is that so many writers have their own interpretation. Frank Miller alone has written 3 different types of Batman. You got the Batman in year 1, you got the Dark Knight Returns, and you have All-Star Batman, and all 3 of them are 3 very different men.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And you can even go to, let's say, even get into the films, like Nolan's version of Batman. He's not out for revenge. Yeah. It's about justice. Because it can't be about revenge. And I was a big fan of Denny O'Neil's Batman in the 70s, which was he wants to save people. He wants to help people. Denny O'Neil famously killed Robin. That was him.
Okay. Yeah.
And Greg Rucka's Batman, I also liked him too. But like, it's such a complex character. Remember on your very first show that I did with you guys, I said I think he's arguably the greatest American fictional character.
Absolutely, he is. He is
so much there.
Yeah. No, he definitely. I don't think it's a question anymore. Honestly, I have met. I mean, when I say like 100% normies, like all they do is watch sports all day and drink beer, like they're just a straight normie dark. They still know Batman's origins. Everybody knows Batman's origin story. Everybody. He is by far. I think the only argument at this point is Spider-Man, because it's the same thing. Everybody knows Spider-Man's origins too. I think it's one of the two. I don't think there's any argument anymore, honestly.
I always put it like this. In the Justice League, on paper, he's the weakest. On paper. In all honesty, he's arguably the most dangerous. And that's something that they don't really talk about is how intelligent he is. He is supposed to be like super, super genius intelligent.
Oops.
You know, that's something they don't really show in the movies that much, but he is a genius. He's the type of guy. If you ever seen the show Sherlock, the way they have Benedict Cumberbatch when he enters a room, he analyzes everything and connects the dots, you know, in like a split second. That's Batman. You know, he is the world's greatest detective. And like he is more dangerous than Superman or any of them because like he knows your weaknesses. He, you know, he's just that. You know, and he plans for every possibility, and that makes him scary.
But anyway, so do you guys have anything else that you would like to talk about today?
I just want to address raging real quick. I was referring to specifically the comic book line. As far as movies and TV shows, that's news to me. I did not know Nickelodeon owned that. That's a big property. But to my understanding, when a comic is written, it falls under the DC umbrella.
I was under that impression too.
Yeah.
So I had fun today.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
So I was talking to Mark Pellegrino, and he would like to get on Friday. It's just a question of his. Yeah, it's just a question of time and when he can do it. So I'll keep everybody posted. And you know, we'll talk to Lucy. We'll talk to Lucifer and Jacob and we'll have a lot of fun.
Nice.
Listen. I don't have to thank either of you for coming today because it's your duty. Right?
I'm still mad at you about that. Thanking me for coming. Like I guess.
I just say things sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Holy guacamole. Guys, we did a whole hour already. Holy guacamole.
You know what's going to happen? As soon as we end the transmission, I'm going to think of like 20 amazing things we could have talked about.
Probably. Yeah.
Like, why can't I bring that up?
Damn it.
That's usually how it goes. But Jack, I mean, you're always welcome to come join us on Friday, even if you wanted.
All right, yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
I'll let you know. I have a meet and greet with a client, but we'll see. Mark Pellegrino.
Oh, whoa! Jack got a meet and greet. Whoa, excuse me.
New client. So
okay,
yeah,
all right.
All right, everybody. The podcast.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah, put it on your resume. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Quick Dip, presented by the Pop Culture Corner. We will be back this Sunday at 5 p.m. What we're talking about Fridays. That's when we're gonna shoot it. I have a wedding to go to this weekend, so unfortunately, it's gonna be a great wedding. I shouldn't say unfortunately, but in terms of the show, unfortunately, I have a wedding. Also, you can join us tomorrow. We'll be joining Raging Entertainment. Tomorrow. So come over, check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if they do it live or if they do it pre-recorded, but we'll find out. Either way, we'll give you all the links and stuff like that. So my name's TY. I'll see you next time.
Get jacked.
We do it for you.
Oh my God, Jack.
We do it for the culture, baby. Right. So Drizzle, listen.